That's my guitar. In 1970, I was back in Humble Pie days. We were in San Francisco, and we were playing 2 nights at Fillmore West, 2 shows a night, so 4 shows, 2 days. So I had just got rid of a guitar, an SG Gibson, and got a 335, which is a hollow body guitar. And the unfortunate thing about that is that it, at the level of the volume level that we played, every time I turned up for a solo, it was just feedback city. So my solos consisted of similar to that. Anyway, so I did the first 2 shows like that, very despondent. And this friend of mine came up to me, Mark Mariano. He said, "Look, I couldn't help but notice you were having some trouble there. Would you like to try my Les Paul? Let me lend you my Les Paul for tomorrow." Tell me how you got this guitar and how it all started.
It just kind of walked up on me, actually. The guy was walking up the street with it under his arm, and it was walking away from a hawk shop. They offered him $50 for it. Is what I don't remember what I paid, but I know I'm sure I didn't have more than $50. And it was a mess though when I got it. I took it home because I knew what it was, and I knew that I could fix it somewhat. Most guitars were modified in some way.
Right.
That's what people did. They made the guitar what they wanted to.
Exactly.
Change the frets, pickups, very personalized.
Yeah, exactly. But now if you touch them, oh no, it's worthless now. It's worthless, because everything's, well, in those days we didn't know that they were going to be worth so much,
You played 3 nights.
Oh, 3 nights?
It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Friday night was when you had that miserable experience. The best I could do, I thought, was, well, I got this guitar that I'm not really that happy with, but, maybe it'll get them through the Sunday night, or whatever. So we went backstage and talked to you, and you said, well, bring it round to the hotel that we're staying at, and I'll take a look.
I said, "Okay, great, thanks." And so we met in the morning at the coffee shop, and he brought it round, opened up the case, and I took it up to the hotel room, started playing it. It was just beautiful,
And I could see you were really enjoying it and more or less bonding to it. And I just made the decision that if it means me leaving with a handful of cash or empty-handed, I'd leave empty-handed, because I couldn't take it back. It was just not. It wasn't going to leave with me because I knew it had found a new home.
Aww. And I used it that night at the Fillmore West for both shows, and that's when I don't think I stopped smiling from ear to ear the entire night. So that was it. That was the first time I played it. And when I got off stage, I said to Marcus, I handed it back to him. I don't know how to ask this, but I said, "It's just an amazing guitar." I said, "You would never think about, selling this, would you?" And he said, "No." I said, "Oh." He said, "I'm going to give it to you."
It was one of those things that you do, it's the right thing to do when you do it, and 50 years, 40 years later, you still know it's the right thing to do. If I ever asked you for anything, it would have just destroyed the whole, it would have destroyed the gesture. It was just the right thing to do.
You're telling me, thank you. I can never thank you enough for that,
Well, you thanked me so many times.
Wow. It was, I still couldn't quite believe it, and then it became the only guitar that I played for 10 years, basically. It just became this part of me, It was just the guitar. The Phoenix, as it's now called, is on every other song on Comes Alive. And just about every track I recorded, obviously, between 1970 and 1980. It's been on all my solo records up until and including Breaking All the Rules. Wind of Change, my first solo album, Frampton's Camel, Something's Happening, Frampton, Comes Alive. Then, of course, I did a lot of different sessions. So It's on Whistle Rhymes for John Entwistle. It's on Son of Schmilson with Harry Nilsson. The Ain't That Cute album that George Harrison produced. A lot of sessions that I did. Obviously all the Humble Pie Rock On album, and of course Rockin' the Fillmore. So it's on both live albums that I'm known for. It became the only guitar I could play. It became so personal to me that when I lost it, I had to learn to play other instruments, which was very strange for me. We were told that the plane, it was a Convair 880 Venezuelan cargo plane, took off from Caracas airport and didn't make it off the runway. A wing touched, so they surmised that the gear moved inside the plane, that the strap broke or something, and it all moved as it took off, and it made a wing touch, and then it just went up in flames and came right back to the ground. We thought that all the guitars and instruments were completely burnt up. But then John Dworko, who was my guitar tech at the time, when he went down there a week later to see, for insurance purposes, what's left and everything, he found that the tail had actually broken off the plane, and that in the tail were the things that survived. Marshall speaker cabinets, combo amplifiers, things like that are easily replaceable and were not vintage. But, well, I guess they are now, actually. But so then we did see pictures of other equipment that was totally burnt up. You know, like a Fender Rhodes piano with all the keys all bent up and distorted and everything. And a few guitar trunk cases where there was an outline of a guitar but no guitar, as if it burnt up. We were just led to believe that everything burned up, but unfortunately that wasn't. Well, fortunately, this guitar didn't burn up, but it was not there when JD got down to South America. There was a point there where I didn't think we were ever going to see it. I mean, I didn't know it existed for so long that I was sort of over it. But then when we heard and saw pictures of it 2 years ago, then my heart started pounding again, as if I've got to get it, I've got to get it. How do I get it? How do I get it? But
my friend Walker Kick sent me an email and said, "Look at your guitars, you know, has shown up." And I went, "Oh yeah, right." So I went and I looked at them and I examined the pictures and you know, and I was skeptical. I says, because, you know, but there was things that I knew about it that if I talked to you and I remind you about it, that would just be a dead giveaway.
Yeah. The story of how whoever was guarding the plane after the crash is one story. I don't know whether to believe it or not, that the guard took it home to guard it really safely. I've no idea, you know, that's what I'm told. That's the only story I know. I wasn't there. But it sounds to me like quite a few people had it and were playing it in Caracas, and it got a little hot. And people started talking about that it was my guitar. Wish I'd heard about it. And then, of course, it ended up in Curacao. Mr. Palm ended up with the guitar in Curacao, and his son then eventually sold it to Donald, who wanted to get the guitar back to me, thank goodness. So, but you know, it'll still be a mystery as far as I'm concerned, how it left the plane and why it wasn't returned to me at the time. You know, but 31 years later, you know, I've got it back. So it's a long wait, but but I got it back.
The frets, I'm sure, you'll want replaced.
Yeah.
At the very least, in order
Yes.
to play it.
I don't know whether I want to keep these in here or whether we want, you know, obviously we're going to test it with these,
Yes.
you know.
Oh, yes.
But I think I really would like to put the type of pickup in there that was originally in there, which were probably patent numbers.
Yes.
In
I
that,
think so.
you know, not patent PAFs,
Right.
but they were probably in 70, he probably got hold of some, well, they would have been.
Yes, they would. Now, it has had some wire put in there that's not
What is that
maybe
for?
new. Well, it's a jumper. You see, they're jumping from this lug here to this one. I think probably replace this with the exact same but new, and use all the correct period wiring.
This does not have a maple top.
No, it's a mahogany.
It's
top.
totally mahogany. So
Right.
that's what's been different about, that's why I was able to, because I've played other Les Pauls heavier with no maple top, and they sounded stodgy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Good word.
Very sort of, no top, no bite. And that's why you guys put the maple on the top, right?
Yeah.
There is a lot of fret wear here, and he didn't think he possibly was playing it with that much fret wear. So, you know,
Some guy said he played for 10 years.
yeah, somebody played it a lot for 10 years.
Right.
And check this out. Check out where the binding got hot, obviously in the fire,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, gosh, yes. Look at it.
expanded. Something like that, to not catch on fire, maybe it was closed up where there wasn't any oxygen, but got really hot. This is the wood right here. This is the fingerboard. And this is the fret surface. Because this is an irregular piece of wood, that tension, which is about 100 pounds, there's about 100 pounds of string tension, that deforms that influences the wood or bends it in a non-uniform way, because it's kind of just a muscle, you know. And so, because we're doing the scanning under string tension, when we dress the frets, we will reference to that, and so that it'll take off, it'll measure, I'll take the strings off, and as you'll see, it'll measure the neck again, and then we'll put the strings back on. Because it's done it all around string tension, when it's strung back up, all this extremely accurate work that we've done will be referenced to the way it really is with the strings on, and that's the key to the whole process. Quality achieved. That means that we have a successful fret dress here. Nick here is going to, Nick's an expert in putting in frets, and he's going to clean this set up. And now that they've come out of the Plek machine, we'll pull strings out. You can actually see them. It's almost totally playable the way it is, but we'll polish them up more to get a kind of the jewelry-like finish that people really want to see in the frets.
Man, I'm excited. I really am. I'll tell you, you know, over the years I've worked on a lot of guitars and a lot of famous guitars, but I can't recall any of them having a more interesting history than this guitar. I mean, really.
I know.
You know, after all of these years, to have it come home.
I know.
I can tell you something about this just because of the weight. And of course, you know the guitar better than anybody. It's going to sing like a bird.
We're hardly doing anything to the guitar at all. We're just going to make it playable. So the electronics is all sort of gummed up, and the pickups don't work and stuff like that. So only what is absolutely necessary will be changed. It will always look a little bit burnt up. Happy is not the word. Happy is, as a clam, whatever superlative you want to say, yes. Not ever thinking that it would come back to me is, and to actually have it is amazing.
Yeah, it all comes back now. It's much thinner than. I'm just happy to see it. I'm just happy that you have it back.
The thing is that I can't believe that I now, it's sitting over there and I'm sort of nonchalant about it. But then if I really think about it and I look at it and pick it up, it's like, holy crap. And it all comes flooding back, It's got to be played. People have to see it, me playing it again. I want to show it off. The Phoenix now, on the Comes Alive tour, on this DVD, I play it for just about the entire Comes Alive material, the whole album, because nothing else sounds like it. So, and I think when you hear it, it's so close. I mean, I got different amplification, different effects now, but it's very exciting. It's hard to put it down once you pick it up, But it's some of the newer stuff, because I didn't have it, it doesn't sound right on, because hey, if it hadn't gone anywhere, it would have been on those too. So when we recorded Comes Alive, which was 1975 when we recorded it, we were on tour promoting the Frampton album, which had Baby I Love Your Way and Show Me the Way, the studio versions on that. Everyone in the organization had said it's time to do what Humble Pie did and do a live record and see how we do, because the Frampton record was doing rather well, And so then when that came out, everything changed. It would completely changed my life. And it was a phenomenal time in my career, and we captured a great night. Some nights you come off and you go, wasn't very good. The crowd went nuts, but what do they know? We weren't that good tonight. But this night was one of those few. Every now and again you get one, and everyone in the band comes off and says, "Wow, I had a really good night. That was a great show." We've sort of forgot that we were recording. I know it sounds weird, but we had, because that show in Winterland was the first big headline show I'd ever done in that area. It was 7,000 people, and I was the headliner, for the first time. So we were more nervous about the show than we were about the recording. I don't think I had time to even speak to the engineer, Ray Thompson, before. Usually I would have been out in the truck and okay, this track or whatever. But I was more nervous about the show. So it's one of those good things that the energy and the nervousness and then the audience was just so welcoming. It was just like a breath of fresh air walking out with all that anticipation and nerves, and it just dissipated when we just got this, well, you hear it on the record, you get this huge ovation, and it was like, oh God, I made it. Look, I'm my first big headline show, and they like us. So it was a great moment, and we came off and said, not only that, but we recorded it, and we went down a couple of days later to LA to Wally Hyder's studio. We used the Wally Hyder's truck, and Ray was there, and and just put up a quick, all faders up, no mix, just everything up, you know, and said, you got to hear this. And so we listened to a few bars of different songs, and it was the energy sort of hit us, you know. It was a great night, and we'd caught it, and we knew we had something good. We didn't know, no one thought at that moment that it would be as successful as it was, you know. So 6 years later, as it is when we did the tour, the anniversary tour, the last time we did that set list was in '76 when the album came out, and that's all everybody wanted to hear was the whole album. So we did it, you know. We hadn't done it in many years, so it was exciting to do it in its entirety again. We actually changed it again a little bit because we wanted to have "Do You Feel" the last number of the set. So we did the encores actually before "Do You Feel," so that we ended the first set on "Do You Feel." "Comes Alive" was obviously the thing that I'll be remembered for, whether I like it or not. And I'm very proud that it is that record, because it is a great recording, great band. We no longer have Bob Mayo and John Siomis with us, but they are remembered on this DVD. And but it always amazes me as each year we go out and there's yet another younger generation, it seems, out there picking up on it. Families, like at a festival type show, you know, you'll see 3 generations of one family all singing along to "Comes Alive." The only thing I can think is that there's an energy that comes off that record that was captured. I think when people play it, it gives them a smile, you know, and there's something about what comes through the speakers when you put "Comes Alive" on that, you know, turns people's heads, you know.